at about 11:30 at night. I see a group of 5 guys in front of me, and they're wrestling and tussling with each other. What decision do I make? I cross the street. Why?
It might be dangerous.
I'm being prejudiced. I am prejudging the situation, oftentimes based on information that I have in the past. So I make the decision to cross the street. I'm being prejudiced.
Does that come in with safety too?
It could come with safety, right? But let's take this a little bit further. I'm at the Mall of America. I'm using the same mentality that I used at 11:30 at night on the street. And I'm walking in the aisles of Mall of America, and I see 5 guys wrestling and tussling with each other. So what decision do I make?
Go around.
I cross the aisle. The only problem is, over here, there's what? 5 more people wrestling and tussling. So I decide to go over here, and what happens? When we take our prejudicial thinking outside of its context and try to apply it to every situation in our lives, we have a problem. And so prejudiced people, that typically is their problem. They're taking one strand or one idea, one concept, and trying to apply it to every situation in their lives. All right? Now, is bigotry a thought, a feeling, or is bigotry a thought? Is it an emotion, or is it an action? All of them? Okay.
I was going to say it's a belief, a learned belief.
Okay. What I'd like to submit to you is that bigotry is an emotion. Because no matter how much information you give a bigot, they still feel the way they do. All right? And I'd like to offer to you that prejudice is a thought. It's a construct that you make about a decision that you're going to make. It's this mental gymnastics that you take yourself through. And if I'm given the enough information or the right information, I can actually change how I think about something. All right? So, in our human evolution, in our civil processes, have we come to a point where I can legislate how people feel? The emotional state that people can have. Can I legislate that? No, I cannot legislate that. It's obvious that there are certain feelings and emotions that I would prefer people not have, right? Particularly if they want to hurt themselves or hurt other people. I would prefer that they not have those, but I can't legislate or make them not have those feelings. All right? I'd also like to offer to you that we also are not at a place where I can legislate how someone thinks. Right? I can't legislate that. Obviously, there are thoughts that I would wish that people would not have, but I can't make somebody have a certain kind of thought. And so what I also like to submit to you is the fact that people are allowed and can be bigots. They're allowed to be bigots. People are allowed to be prejudiced. They can be prejudiced. However, what we have here is a mathematical equation that says 1 plus 1 equals 2. And so although people can be bigoted, people can have prejudice, we cannot what? Discriminate, because we have laws. 1990, we came up with the ADA Act. In 1964, we had the Civil Rights Act, right? And before then, we had some part of the women's suffrage movement, got them access to governmental activities such as voting and whatnot. So we cannot discriminate. But the problem is, what we've been doing is we've been working on people's actions. We've been beating people up about their behavior. We've said, do not act like that. You cannot say that. You can't, run around doing that. But what happens? We smack their hands on this, but what's the same?
The emotions and the thoughts.
How they feel and how they think. And so if we want to do some real, cultural competence, if we really want to do some social change, then one of the things we have to start attacking, because we've got this down, right? We've got rules and regulations and policies around this stuff. But what we have to start doing is changing how people what? Think and how they feel. And I'm going to give you some answers to that today. All right? So, questions so far? All right? Cool. Yeah, we'll do this. A number of the resources that I get are from YouTube, so I would encourage you to do some research on YouTube too. It's a great resource. So here we go. So why did people were just laughing up a storm? Why do we find this comical?
I don't.
You don't know?
I don't find it comical.
You don't find it comical? Okay. Oh, come on. Lighten up. So we'll come to that perspective in just a second. But for those of you who are laughing, why did you find it comical? Yes.
My son did that exact same thing.
Your son did the exact same thing. So you can relate to that. Okay, so you can relate to that. I saw a hand up here.
I just said I found it comical because the baby thinks that that's the way that he's supposed to get some attention.
Okay, so the baby thinks that's the way he's supposed to get some attention. So another hand. Yes, sir.
I was thinking for the fact that he knew what to do to get what he wanted.
So he knew what to do to get what he wanted. All right. Yes, ma'am.
The way that children know how to manipulate adults.
Okay, so children know how to manipulate adults. Okay, I'm gonna take one more hand. I'll take you, sir, and I'll get you as well, man. The two of you.
I think the crying is theatrical. It's just like a drama.
Okay, so it's a drama. It's theatrical. Yes, ma'am.
As a mother, I would have probably responded differently. As a grandmother, it is hysterical.
As a grandmother, it's hysterical. All right, cool. So now I want to get flipped to the other side of the coin. Those who did not find it comical, why was that?
Because the child's learned this over time. This wasn't the one time he tried this and saw that it was going to work. And we know that in order for kids to grow up with a healthy emotional development and a good sense of self, you need to respond to them. And she didn't respond to him.
Okay.
He's learned over time that he's not going to be responded to.
Okay, so he's learned over time that he's not going to be responded to. All right.
So
Yes,
he
ma'am.
doesn't trust his world.
He doesn't trust his world.
I'm just going to say, and I don't know my mother's perspective, it's pretty complicated, that will change the mother's perspective. Maybe they're really uncomfortable watching it because I cannot stand it when people use kids' emotional issues as entertainment.
Okay.
Like, oh my God. Even if it's funny, even if you think he might be an actor. I didn't think he was acting. I thought he was really upset every time that happened.
Okay.
It's really upsetting that they would videotape and see it as entertainment.
Okay, cool. Yes, ma'am. I'll take your hand, and then I'll take these last two hands.
I felt like this woman up here, as a mother, it's concerning, as a grandmother, I can kind of laugh at it. But I also did some in my own childhood mental health stuff, and I know that is traumatizing to a funny initially, but as they go from room to room for their own entertainment, and they're not putting the child's needs first, then it's concerning.
Okay, cool. Yes, ma'am. Your hand, and then your hand is the last one, and then we'll move on. Yes,
From
ma'am.
kind of an opposite perspective, what concerned me was the fact that this child, it seems like, they may have spoiled him. Maybe he thinks that crying is the only way to get some attention, whereas if they put a stop to it, I'm not saying they should address it, obviously, but it seems like he might be spoiled.
Okay, so it seems like he may be
Spoiled
spoiled.
just means that they haven't given him the tools to tell them how he's feeling.
Right, I'm not saying they've done the right thing.
Kids games, right?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just think from a different perspective, obviously, developmentally, like, how many tools do you have at this point? I mean, seriously, I mean, if the parents weren't giving him what he needed, like, that's how he was responding, if they weren't responding to that, he would have stopped. He would have been like, all right, they're not paying attention to me, and, just like Pavlov's dog, or Bell, the little Bell thing, and they get to learn, and he was trying to get attention. I think that it wasn't spiteful.
Yeah, and whether it is or isn't, I mean, I can't lay moral judgment on this. All I can do is say what happened. I can look at this and see what happened. And one of the things that I find interesting is, and someone made the comment, that the baby is doing this because what? Because it's worked. He's doing it because it's worked. Now, here's the interesting thing. When will the baby stop falling out as a way to try to get his or attain his comfort or his whatever he's desiring? When will he stop doing that? When they turn the camera off, okay? Or when it stops working. Is it working now? No. What are some clues that we know that this falling out thing is not working? Yes, sir.
Well, one of them, I don't know if this is on the subject, one of the things that reminded me of it like the generational gaps between marching and how the generation marches and they don't have any of those tools. And you see they would go to someplace else and you start crying. And that was kind of how they didn't learn extra tools. So just like our generation marched until my generation that uses social media. That's what it reminded me of.
Okay, so this could be a metaphor for kind of generational social gaps in terms of trying to get what you need, using the old skills to try to get new stuff. All right, new results. How do we know that this isn't working?
The dog.
What about the dog?
The dog is not paying the child any attention.
The dog is not paying any attention.
I'm serious. The dog, if that child really needed something, that dog would behave.
So one of the clues that this behavior is not working is that the behavior is getting repeated. But I want to go back to, why is the behavior being repeated?
Because he doesn't have another way.
He doesn't have another way? Because it's worked in the past. And so we are beings that build our thought processes on success, right? And so it is my belief as I'm growing up developmentally that if it's worked in the past, given a new situation that is very similar to the one that I had in the past, then that behavior should what? Work. Which also means that if it's worked in the past, it should work in the present, which also means that it should work when? In the future. And I will continue that pattern until something happens for me, right? So why is it that bigoted people act bigoted? Because it's worked in the past, they've used it, it had some success in the present, and they will continue to do that until they no longer have success. And so what typically happens is that we brand those people and we give them certain kinds of names and designations that create more problems. But I'll get to that a little bit later. So here are my basic assumptions about human development, growth, and how we interact. That people can learn, change, and grow. Who I was at 17, thank God, is not who I am today. We unleashed something on the world that I wish we could just take back, and it's called sagging. Right? My generation, we just, shagged a little bit, but now they're showing, tramp stamps and all this crazy stuff.